Hello World Wide Web, I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality of the best hair, and it's time for me to finally finish off the prequel trilogy with Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. You're damn right. Revenge for what? Not important. The real geekery comes from the fact that Episode 6 was originally titled Revenge of the Jedi, until Lucas realized that revenge wasn't the Jedi way, which would make you think he'd have never even thought of using such a silly title as Revenge of the Jedi, let alone make several posters and t-shirts with that on them, but fuck it! The point of today's movie is about the final push to turn the old Republic into the evil Galactic Empire, turn Anakin into the dark side, creating Darth Vader, and crush the Jedi Council once and for all. Each point which could sustain a movie on its own, but who cares? We got pod racing and clones fighting droids for the first two parts of the trilogy. However, so much as we done in the usual 2-hour running time, how effectively does Revenge of the Sith manage in making it at least coherent? Better than some, but certain things might still leave you wondering. What things? Well, let's take a look at Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and find out. A long time ago, but not quite as long as the previous two films, we get yet another text scroll. It seems the Separatist forces, led by General Grievous, besieged Coruscant and kidnapped Chancellor Palpatine. Why is it all the cool shit ends up happening in between movies? Well, no bother, Palpatine has been kidnapped so that we can kick off things here in a high-speed special effects orgy in space. Obi-Wan leads the rescue team along with his Padawan Anakin. That way we can see that Anakin is a truly kick-ass pilot, easily destroying the missiles shot his way, while Obi-Wan is somewhat worse at this. I'm hit! Conveniently enough, not by the missiles themselves, because they were actually containers holding lots of tiny little droids with even tinier little saw blades attached to them, because if you've got a plot this confusing, you may as well make the weapons at least as complicated. Don't worry though, Anakin can save the man by shooting the fuck out of his ship. But hey, wreck the buzz droids! This means Obi-Wan's ship is held together just enough so he can make the final dash into the Separatist vessel, and probably not die. And just when I'm thinking the special effects look really damn good and a step up from the previous films, they pull out the CGI actors. Way too close not to notice, and obviously hand animated, not motion captured. Great. Of course, crashing into a ship and flailing your arms around so the visual effects team can add robots you're killing is easy, but how are they going to find where Palpatine is being held prisoner?
The Chancellor's signal is coming from right there.
He's got a handy-dandy tracking signal, which our heroes are sure to park far, far away from. It's more dramatic that way. Thus they leave R2 with the ship while they go off and rescue Palpatine from the evil General Grievous. Played by Matthew Wood. Also, while his constant coughing, hacking, and wheezing is a little confusing for a cyborg who may or may not even have lungs, it's actually a lot closer to what was originally intended to be the difficult breathing that Darth Vader had in the original trilogy. After a little more action, so we can watch R2-D2 burn the flesh off the robots. Well, I'm sure their intercooler is working overtime at least. Obi-Wan and Anakin find the Chancellor held captive, but seemingly unguarded.
Chancellor.
You alright?
Count Dooku.
Which is obviously the trap they alluded to earlier. I didn't mention it because they fought through an armada to get on the ship and then through a droid army to reach that room. Oh, someone showed up with an intent to kill them, but it was looking so easy! It seems Christopher Lee is back to his old tricks of having very little screen time, but upstaging everyone around him. Thus the Jedi attack! Considering how easily he beat the fuck out of both of them in the last movie, it shouldn't be too surprising how well this goes. Why hand animate CGI Obi-Wan? I know you really shouldn't chuck Ewan McGregor 50 feet into an actual metal railing, but, you know, ragdoll physics aren't exactly new. But Dooku only managed to knock out Kenobi. Anakin is still kicking and twice as powerful as he was in the last movie. Therefore, he's actually even better at fighting the Sith off without Obi-Wan's help.
Good, Anakin, good. Kill him.
Really don't need subtle hints here for that. Everyone already knows that Palpatine is Darth Sidious. I'll just assume this was Ian's way of making sure that Christopher doesn't upstage him for the whole movie. So Anakin cuts his fucking head clear off! Even though he knows damn well he's not supposed to do shit like that.
I shouldn't have done that. It's not the Jedi way.
Maybe not, but only the best slow, plotting political decisions. Now, maybe not, but only the best slow, plotting political discussions end in decapitation. Palpatine goes on to say that they have so little time to escape, they must leave Obi-Wan behind, but Anakin isn't ready to go quite that far yet. Of course, escape probably isn't much of an option in the first place when you take into account the fact that they have one single-seat ship left way on the other side of the vessel, and then this. They get hit so hard the ship begins careening downward, and you would think that technology so advanced that can create an artificial gravity field would be able to prevent shit from flying off the shelves all over the ship, but evidently not. This means they have to rework their escape route thanks to several ship features being unavailable without DLC. At least Obi-Wan regains consciousness and is able to help, as well as comment on the writing.
Ray shields. Wait a minute. How did this happen? We're smarter than this.
Look, you roll one.
But Obi-Wan is an 18th level Jedi Knight. How can he possibly fall into a trap in the middle of a well-lit hallway unawares, yet last week had a bad feeling about some Chipotle takeout? So dead Sith or no dead Sith, ship crashing or not, General Grievous brings the Jedi in to confiscate their lightsabers and give a short villain rant. However, he didn't take into account R2d2's reaction to the Windows 10 Creators Update, and in the chaos, Obi-Wan and Anakin break free. Oh well, fuck this.
You lose, General Kenobi.
Yeah, he's a cyborg, and therefore the vacuum of space isn't as bad, but I mean, come on, the guy's got trouble breathing in an atmosphere. So Grievous escapes via escape pod, coincidentally enough, while Obi-Wan and Anakin are tasked with trying to land what's left of the ship. Anakin's pilot skills means he's in charge here, but that might not be the best idea.
Open all hatches, extend all flaps and drag fins.
Yes, well before you reach the atmosphere when you're going super fucking fast, well before you've slowed down at all that way, when you do hit the atmosphere, they rip right the fuck off right when you need them the most. Shit man, have you even played Kerbal Space Program? That and the fact that they crash landing on the planet Coruscant, covered in cities all over, you'd think this is a terrible idea all around. Don't worry though, there's a landing strip. Sure, they take out a control tower, but yeah, fuck it, they're not important. The point is, the heroes survive, and Palpatine is rescued. That way we can get back to the peaceful events of slow political dialogue, which aren't nearly as important as other revelations in the storyline.
I'm pregnant.
It seems even with super high-tech space travel and magic powers, birth control still managed to be a fuzzy area. Sure, their marriage is secret, as fucking is another thing that's apparently not the Jedi way, but that's not the point. Anakin and Padme are so happy. They're having a child! Nothing could ruin this happy time. Spare the odd premonition of her dying in pain and agony, I guess. Anakin doesn't much like the idea that the future holds his wife fucking dying, so he consults with Yoda. Not about his forbidden marriage, mind you, but just generic problems he's having with visions he doesn't like. Yoda's advice? Deal with it.
Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose.
Kill my family and friends, an overlord does? Give a shit like I do. Learning to not give a fuck about Padme's life will have to wait, though, as Palpatine has requested Anakin's help for something.
I'm depending on you.
For what? I don't understand.
Well, maybe he'd let him finish his fucking sentence. Chancellor Palpatine proposes that Anakin be the representative for the Republic in the Jedi Council, so they can work together and share information that much more effectively. Thing is, only Jedi Masters sit on the Jedi Council.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of Master.
What?
No, don't phrase it like you're denying him something. Be positive. Be like, hey, you're too young to be a Jedi Master, but you're so awesome you still get to be on the council. You might save some lives down the road. So while Anakin is playing puppet for the politicians, Obi-Wan warns him of Palpatine's questionable motives. The man's emergency powers granted him the ability to stay in office well beyond his term limit, and even Padme starts questioning the narrative.
Have you ever considered that we may be on the wrong side?
What do you mean?
Well, you brewed up a few million clones to secure the Republic at Blaster Point. That doesn't exactly scream ethical standards. Screw it, Palpatine's fine, and Anakin knows it. Besides, he's got such great insights and stories to tell. Mostly about Sith and the dark side of the Force, but nobody's perfect. Either way, he tells Anakin the tragic tale of Darth Plagueis.
He could use the Force to influence the midi-chlorians to create life.
And that's where Anakin came from. I mean, yeah, the scene where Palpatine downright tells him that, yes, the midichlorians that Darth Plagueis manipulated to conceive a child was Anakin, was cut from the movie, but still it's a hint that's about as subtle as a pod racing bantha. Or other things. The tragedy of the tale is that while Darth Plagueis could stop those he loved from dying, he couldn't help himself, and his apprentice killed him in his sleep. One guess as to who the fuck that was. Ah well, fuck it. Point is, Wookiee army on Kashyyyk! That shot from the trailer that was so awesome it managed to convince countless people to watch this movie after 2 whole movies worth of reasons not to. Unfortunately, the big, epic Wookiee battles, plot-wise, are kind of pointless. Yay! Far more important is the fact that Obi-Wan separates from Anakin for a bit so that he may track down General Grievous from his last known location, the planet of wicked fucking Nosferatu cosplayers.
He is here. We are being held hostage. They are watching us.
I understand.
10th level.
Yes. Yes. Okay. What? Sorry, I'm sorry, I was distracted. How much has dentistry cost on this fucking planet? This means Obi-Wan has no trouble tracking down the cybernetic terror and getting the jump on him. Of course, this is just another chance for Grievous to brag about how Dooku trained him on how to wield a lightsaber. Or several. Obi-Wan, what's this? Z-targeting doesn't work in real life. Grievous's four-armed lightsaber technique seems to be to use 2 of his arms and ignore the other 2. Ah well, they come in handy when Obi-Wan cuts 2 of his hands the fuck off, making the entire concept of a 4-armed lightsaber duel moot. Not that there's much of a one-on-one duel left anyway. I know hyperspace is a thing in this series, but shit, they must have that shit ready by a wormhole with how fast they show up sometimes. So another great big battle erupts! Around the big fight with Grievous, which in the big scheme of things is the only important part, so let's move on to something much more pressing. Anakin has been asked to update Palpatine on the war effort, but be wary of his reaction, as the Council suspects he might not be what he seems. So without further ado, Darth Sidious gives Anakin the sales pitch to come to the dark side.
Learn to know the dark side of the Force, and you will be able to save your wife from certain death.
Well, that's awfully damn specific. Come to the dark side, learn to force choke, use force lightning, save your wife from certain death this weekend only. Revealing himself to be a Sith Lord, Palpatine doesn't manage to get Anakin on board just yet, so the young Jedi leaves to inform the Council of his treachery. All the while, Obi-Wan is still doing battle with General Grievous, and has finally broken through his armor. Which does make me wonder, how the fuck was he even alive that long? His heart was just kind of hanging there freely inside the armor? Shouldn't a stiff breeze have been enough to knock him over? On the topic of the Sith Chancellor, though, Anakin does actually tell Mace Windu his suspicions, and he brings an assortment of Jedi to confront the man. Not Anakin, but it's all well and good considering Palpatine has no problem killing everyone there, other than Samuel L. Jackson. But oh no, Anakin shows up seconds later, and Palpatine swears it's the Jedi's lusts for power trying to take over the Republic! Even though...
No, you will die!
He's using Force Lightning, and the only one other than him that Anakin's ever seen using Force Lightning was Count Dooku, and he was kind of a fucking Sith! Though when Dooku did it, it never seemed to transform his whole fucking face into a massive swelling and wrinkles. Either way, Anakin does step in to stop Mace, resulting in Palpatine fucking murdering the guy right then and there.
What have I done?
Ah, fuck, you've already been letting your emotions rule you. You fucking married someone, which is a big no-no, and you cut an unarmed prisoner's head clean the fuck off. Following the Jedi Code isn't exactly your strong suit.
Become my apprentice. Learn to use the dark side of the Force.
I will do whatever you ask.
I mean, I did just regret choosing the wrong side, and you are clearly evil, but, I mean, that save your wife's life deal is this weekend only, and you can't really pass that shit up.
Henceforth, you shall be known as Darth Vader.
But you don't have to correct people on that. If they want to spend the rest of the movie calling you Anakin, fuck it, just let them. Just one lone Jedi turning Sith isn't going to destroy the Jedi Order, though, no matter how powerful. However, there is more to Palpatine's evil plans.
Execute Order 66.
Yes, my lord.
It turns out while the clone army was being gestated and trained, they were also being taught to turn on the Jedi Council at a moment's notice. You know, like Anakin, but with actual reasoning behind it. This results in a montage of clones murdering the fuck out of the Jedi. Well, except the ones who actually react to the situation like a Jedi would. Hey, look, an important thing happened on Kashyyyk. And it had absolutely nothing to do with the Wookiee army. Great. Well, let's get the body count to rise elsewhere to cheer me up. We don't get to see it all, but it's good to know that the movie in the prequel trilogy that everyone has the most good things to say about is the one where a buttload of children are fucking murdered. Bail Organa, played by Jimmy Smits, is being politely led away from the Jedi Temple at gunpoint when he inadvertently witnesses the clone troopers killing those that try to escape. That leaves him as the one face they can trust as he makes contact with Obi-Wan.
We have just rescued Master Yoda. It appears this ambush has happened everywhere. We're sending you our coordinates.
Which very fortunately are not intercepted by their enemies. Considering they're trying to kill all the Jedi, and there's only so many of them, you'd think they'd keep better track of their frequencies, but evidently not. This means the three of them can regroup and figure out where to go from here. They think the best bet is to go right the fuck back to the Jedi Temple and learn what they can there. Thus, while they walk in circles, Anakin has plenty of time to head over to the molten planet Mustafar and slaughter the leaders of the Separatist armies. Sure, they've surrendered already, but fuck it, that just turns killing them into a side quest. This is another one of those oh-so-fun parts of the movie where shitloads go on at once, as the investigation in the temple coincides with the slaughter, which also happens to be going on at the same time as the Chancellor's speech ascending to universal power as the Emperor.
The Republic will be reorganized into the First Galactic Empire!
I ain't sure your freedoms are fucked, your rulers are evil, and they don't give a flying fuck what you have to say, but look on the bright side. You don't need that passport for your next vacation.
So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause.
Yes, it's almost like not taking people's freedom away, but just convincing them that they don't actually want said freedom is how to make a really effective authoritarian regime. One last thing in the temple, though. After Obi-Wan encodes a signal warning all surviving Jedi to stay away...
Wait, Master. There is something I must know.
If into the security recordings you go, only pain will you find.
I can imagine. Oh god, do you know Mace returned to work without washing his hands? Or all those children being killed. Guess that's bad too. Especially when you learn it's your disciple that's doing it. Us not knowing Anakin's exact location, he stows away on Padme's ship. There were a bunch of scenes earlier where Anakin kept her updated on things. Kinda left out that part about the murdering kids thing, but things like the planet he's gonna be on, let her in on that. However, once she arrives, she learns the terrible truth.
I am more powerful than the Chancellor. I can overthrow him. And together, you and I can rule the galaxy.
Because our society has adapted the good old-fashioned assassination method of determining its leaders. She doesn't go along with this, which leads Anakin to think Obi-Wan has corrupted her.
I love you!
Liar! Jesus, man, it's not that bad. This is the second time you've gone around slaughtering kids, and she's still kind of okay with it. So he force chokes the bitch, which Obi-Wan gets him to stop. Not taking into account, you never know, she might like getting force choked. Either way, they get their obligatory pre-duel speech, setting the stage for why they must fight.
If you're not with me, then you're my enemy.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Which is in and of itself an absolute, but, you know, semantics don't exactly make the best pre-duel fodder. The point is, they battle! However, remember, this is a Star Wars movie made past the first one. Just one climactic battle isn't enough. So while these two fight in hell, Yoda meets up with Palpatine for a little duel of his own. Which does make it a little more difficult to follow these fights than it should be. The fact that it's between sword-wielding magicians in space is confusing enough. While Yoda could kick Dooku's ass pretty well, Darth Sidious over here is a bit more of a handful, and the little green man ends up way over his head. Metaphorically this time. Thus, before the debris clears, he takes this chance to escape.
There's no sign of his body, sir.
Then he's not dead.
Not necessarily. You do remember which film series this is, right? When Jedi die, they don't necessarily leave a body. In fact, when that specific Jedi dies, he doesn't leave a body. Either way, for failing to stop Palpatine, Yoda decides to go into exile, but fuck it, that just means we only have one big battle to worry about between Anakin and Obi-Wan.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
In a series where you can jump scores of feet into the air and routinely use telekinesis for ranged combat. It's a wonder you're not flying around like Saiyans yet. How much of an advantage does Obi-Wan have, though? Well, he cuts off both his fucking legs and the one arm that hadn't already been cut off before. Now, with his captive audience, he gives a heart-wrenching speech.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them!
And because of all the memes, I don't have to say a thing. Most of you already left. It pains Obi-Wan to see such a longtime friend turn to the dark side. Not saying he likes him all that much still. I mean, yeah, he's crippled and soon catches fire, but fuck it, that's no reason to put him out of his misery. Just leave him. Besides, how else is Palpatine supposed to find him barely alive?
I'm still alive, only I'm very badly burned.
And all I can think about is it must be really fucking hot in that robe right now. While Sidious takes Anakin from this place, we see what has come of that vision of Padme's death.
She's dying.
We don't know why. She has lost the will to live.
I was wondering how a series with deep space travel and fucking magic users on every corner somehow still has death in childbirth as a thing. Because the plot says so. From a medical standpoint, it's especially weird, as Padme giving birth to the twins Luke and Leia before dying is spliced in with Anakin being in fucking horrifying shape, but pieced together good as new under the care of Emperor Palpatine, who then informs him that Padme is fucking dead. I really don't have to explain why this shot looks silly. The scary part is, you know, this went through a long process before it made it into the final cut. Like, they scripted this shit out, they storyboarded it, they put it in front of test audiences. What the fuck were these test audiences doing? It's like, yeah, that no shit? Yeah, I can get behind that shit. And then, like, no. Enough dwelling in the past, though. It's time to set things up to not be weird in Episode 4 and explain how everyone got where they ended up. First of all, C-3po and R2d2 becoming the property of Captain Antilles.
Have the protocol droids mind wiped?
What?
Which explains why C-3po didn't know Uncle Owen while he bought him from the Jawas. Doesn't explain how Uncle Owen fucking forgot C-3po, but hey! The thing is, Padme is dead, but they fake that her children died too, so they can hide them where no one will ever suspect it. Like Leia being adopted by Bail Organa, huge friends of Padme, and of course Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, Anakin's motherfucking step-siblings, get Luke. And they don't even bother to change the kid's last name. Real fucking hidden. And boom! Episode 3 ties up all the loose ends. I mean, except for that one. You know, fuck it, that's what the expanded universe is for. Anyway, that was Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And it's still got a lot of flaws, but it is a lot of fun to just sit down and watch. One thing this movie had going for it was that they really didn't have any more time to fuck around with the prequels. Darth Vader had to be created, the Jedi Order had to be destroyed, the Empire had to be born, and we couldn't spend 2 hours watching the drama of Ronto mating and postpone that shit any longer. In that sense, my main complaint about Attack of the Clones, where most of the scenes really didn't feel significant, is remedied. For the most part, there are still a lot of scenes that are way more flash than substance, and frustratingly, I'd call the scenes on Kashyyyk with a Wookiee army near pointless in the big scheme of things. Some scenes being more fluff is okay though, as long as the rest of the movie holds up, and Episode 3 did so very well. While Hayden Christensen never wowed me with his line delivery, when he turns to the dark side, shuts the fuck up, and kills people, I think it actually works for him. Overall, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith is visually impressive, sets up the original trilogy at least okay, and has many great memorable scenes. You know, it's the thing we were promised since the fucking start of the prequel trilogy, finally delivered. Not perfect, but certainly worth watching, coming in at 4 Palpatine no out of 5. Which sounds ridiculously high for a prequel trilogy movie, but I think that has more to do with their reputation than their quality. Thank you all for watching, I've been Shado, and remember, don't waste your Wookiee armies.
Meow, 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 meow.